Welcome along to Trader Chat. Welcome especially to Will Smith, who apparently needs some time to calm down, take in some of the betting on the Oscars, some of the reflections here with Johnny Ward, myself, and Flynn Goward. What was going on with big man Will, Flynn?
Not really too sure. When I went to bed last night and I was thinking about Trader Chat, I was thinking about what we were going to talk about.
You went to bed thinking about Trader Chat?
I normally do. I hate to say that I probably go to bed thinking about Trader Chat, which involves you, Johnny, which is always a worrying thought. But going to on the Sunday night thinking of yourself. But thinking about what we're normally going to talk about. Normally thinking racing. I'm normally thinking F1, Greyhound Derby, those type of things. I wasn't thinking Will Smith and the Oscars. Absolutely madness to wake up to, just the kind of activity on Twitter and also on all the kind of news agencies. It's a really weird one. What are your thoughts on it? Like, I mean, obviously Will Smith is the one in the wrong here. There's kind of an unwritten rule in comedy, isn't there, that you shouldn't really be offended by comedy because that's how it's meant to not be intended. But if they're both waking up this morning, you would imagine that Will Smith is the one that's regretting what's happened as opposed to Chris Rock, wouldn't you?
I certainly hope both wake up this morning. And I think it almost looked like a punch that was something out of a movie. It looked like he hardly even connected with him, but the whole thing was just utterly bizarre. It was like, I mean, I was sent it as a clip this morning. I think already 30 million people had looked at that clip on Twitter. Will, in fairness, I think Chris Rock was a pretty poor joke, but yeah, Will Smith possibly losing his mind a bit with that reaction.
Yeah, possibly. What I would say is that Chris Rock made a different joke about his wife Jada as well back in 2016, and the joke was along the lines of, I think Jada didn't want to turn up to the award ceremony that he was hosting or he was handing out an award at, and he kind of compared it to him being in Rihanna's panties. I think he said in the fact that nobody wanted them there anyway. So he obviously made that joke, which was a better joke back in 2016, but then he's kind of pried at her again here, which is a bit of a weird one. But off the back of it, again, we don't want to make light of the situation, but we have priced up some specials as it is a bit of a talking point. And
we don't want to make light of the situation, but here are Will Smith's markets.
Yeah, but to be fair, there is still an angle that this could potentially be a bit of a spoof kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's every chance, like with the open-handed slap and all that type of stuff, there's every chance that it could be. But I mean, very unlikely. But both to be interviewed by Oprah Winfrey in 2022 is 10-1. Both to appear in the ring at the same time in any WWE event in 2022 is 20-1. Will Smith to be one of the hosts of the Oscars in 2023 is 25. To fight each other in a celebrity boxing match in 2022 is 33-1. And then we've got a couple more on there as well. So if you did want to get involved in the talking points, and to be fair, that celebrity boxing match one wouldn't be the biggest price in the world, as you are seeing kind of Jake Paul taking the world by storm with his kind of celebrity boxing matches and all that type of stuff. So I wouldn't say that is a huge price, and maybe a little bit short of 33-1. But just some specials off the back of the huge talking point in the Oscars from last night. Absolutely maddening stuff to start the show with, Johnny. Yeah,
madness. I think if I were to have a bet on that, maybe that he presents it next year in some form of retribution or something like that. But some knockout blows landed in Maidan. Ado McGuinness winning with a case of you, which was a hell of a performance. Unbelievable weekend for Ado McGuinness. We will start though, I think, at Doncaster. We two shortage price horses in the Lincoln, both stuffed. What was this like for Star Sports? We had Johann winning at 28s. And essentially, yeah, you've got biggish prices in the frame. Disappointing effort from the favourite. I thought never got involved.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that this is going to be the sign of the flat seasons come, because we've seen with jump racing recently, and look, I'm very biased because I work for bookmakers, but it feels like it's been very uncompetitive, and the short ones have just been going in, and we've seen it.
Average field size today at Ludlow is essentially 4.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I can understand that with the kind of quicker ground that these kind of spring going into summer jumps. But even if you're looking at the proper races at Cheltenham, you're getting 4 runner heats in Grade 1 novice chases. So
massive.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good to see the kind of competitive sides. And if you're having a bet in a race, it was obviously a lot harder to pick the winner. And I do find that with flat racing anyway. But hopefully from the bookmaking side of things, that is the things to come with Johann obviously going in at a massive price of 28-1. The places were also very kind. The one they wanted to go for was the Haggis favourite, Nujaba, Modern News was pretty friendless, to be honest, but Mojave was a 6-figure loser for us. So it's very good to get that one out of the boxes. And Johann was a fantastic result. Just while we're on the topic of the league, I'm not sure if you saw it, Johnny, because you're not on Twitter anymore, but there was a handy naps competition, which is a competition being run by the form analyst Graham on Twitter. He's obviously got a very kind of tragic story going on. He's got terminal cancer at the moment, and he's documenting his kind of journey on Twitter, and it is hugely commendable and inspirational. Sorry. But he has set up a tipping competition over the 40 heritage handicaps this year. It's had over 400 entries, and we actually priced it up just before the weekend, and we saw a huge turnout. We saw loads of new accounts. We saw, I think, we saw over 200 bets on the market. So people obviously wanted to bet themselves. A lot of egos involved and all that type of stuff. But I did just want to give that a quick mention to the first heritage handicap of the season in this competition was the Lincoln. And I would imagine that some people who put their selections through, so you get 2 selections, you can have 2 points win or 1 point each way. And I would imagine that not a huge amount of people probably got off to a flyer in this competition, but that's just one to watch as we go through. I'm not sure if we'll get the outright market up, but that's all going to be for a good cause. Any profits made from the market will be donated towards Macmillan Cancer support, and I'm sure that if we do end up losing on the market, that will make some sort of donation, even though. So I did just want to give that a quick mention. But moving on with the rest of the card at Doncaster, we got away with Chindic winning, to be honest, because we actually laid Busala heavily at 7-2. That was a very big loser for us. So Chindic going and getting the job done was a good result. Persian Force was a poor result in the opener. Well backed, even money favourite. I opened up quite a big price there, night 4, but went off even money. It looks to have a bright future for the Hannon team. Actually looked quite a nice horse in the opener. And then Diligent Harry was also well backed in the 150, going off at around 7-4. We were happy to see that one be in second. So in terms of flat results for us, Johnny, we were pretty pleased with how it went at Doncaster. And to be honest, that continued at Meydan.
Yeah, Meydan, obviously, I suppose from an Irish perspective, the victory at a big price as well of A Case of You was probably the main talking point over here, and one of the favourable results, you'd have to say, in a day of favourable results basically for Star Sports here.
Well, yeah, exactly. And just going on to that race, so the Alcos Sprint, the best backed horse of the day was Man of Promise. So very, very well backed into, I think it went off around 10-11. I'm going to have to look that up. Yeah, 10-11. And I think I was laying 7-4 in the morning. I think I'm thinking about it right. We lay 7-4 that. We were laying Minobo for the stayers race. So it was those two that were being put in all the multiples and all the doubles and that type of stuff. So getting Man of Promise beat was a fantastic result. As you say, Ada McGuinness, what a fantastic weekend in the Curragh, but also at Meydan, winning the 14-12, fantastic result. Do just want to give a quick mention to Happy Romance. I mean, what's the horse this is? Always goes off a big price, but always seems to be in the boxes in these big races. So fantastic for the owners there for Happy Romance. Happy for them to run into a place, and what a fantastic horse to own. Just some of the other results, Stay Foolish was a terrible result, which wouldn't be expected. I know that was against Manobo, but in terms of the big bet laid, that was on Stay Foolish. So we laid a huge lump each way. That one at around 9-2. Life is Good, getting beat in the Dubai World Cup was a great result. Just went too hard up top, kind of cut each other's throats a little bit. That one, and then another one. We also laid Hot Rod Charlie each way, so we copped a small profit there as it was 4-1. So very small profit for us. So yeah, those are the results from Meydan. A pretty good weekend on the racing front, to be honest, and it's nice to have a bit of a change of fortune after a pretty poor Cheltenham, to be honest.
Anything to report from the Curragh briefly? Obviously, Mother Earth making a winning reappearance in the Park Express.
She was very weak in the betting, Mother Earth, weirdly. She was around 4-9 in the morning. She's gone off 4-5. We laid a good bit of 100-30, the second in Insinuendo. Yeah, that's ended up going off 2-1. Ran no sort of a race at all. Never looked like winning. Mother Earth just looked having the back. She didn't really go on, did she? So you can imagine that she possibly wasn't cherry ripe for the day, but she was just the class told. The other favourites that got beat on the card were good results for us. Obviously, Toy getting beat, that was very well backed, around even money in the morning, went off 8-11, beat by Perfect Thunder. And then in the 306 as well, Boundless Ocean was a well backed favourite. Again, that was beaten second, so we are just kind of getting away with them a little bit here. And even in the Irish Lincolnshire Radeberg, I said to the boys, I was just about to leave the office at this stage. I said, how much money have we done there? And they said, no, it's actually a decent result in the book. So weirdly enough, the well back 9-2 favourite of the feature over in Ireland was a good result. So it was good to see flat racing back and this, especially some of these results, Johnny. So
yeah.
yeah, all good from our side.
That time of year when punters have to decide how ready these fancied horses are making their return. Mother Earth might have been deemed not quite ready enough to get the better of Insinuendo. It was a good battle, but she was Market Drifter, who was just probably the class act in the race. This guy, Scottie Scheffler, has he gone to world number one in the space of like 2 months or something like that?
Yeah, that's it. So about 2 months ago, he hadn't had a win on the PGA Tour, and now he's had 3 wins and 5 starts or something like that, and he's gone to world number one. He's just what I think sets him apart at the moment. I mean, obviously he's a great tees green player and he's a fantastic ball striker. But setting him apart is his demeanour. He has a not caring attitude, but almost like a blasé attitude in the way that it just like nothing seems to phase him. And I think that in a match play situation, that can really impact the player that he's playing against. So he's obviously gone on to win the Dell Technologies Match Play, the WGC event at the age of 25, and going to world number one in the process. He was a taker in the book. Brits Koepka was the only big loser for us in the event, and he was knocked out by Dustin Johnson. It means that he shortened up for the Masters. So you got the Masters next, not this weekend, but next weekend, a bumper weekend, because obviously you got Aintree in the Grand National as well. Always a great weekend in the calendar for kind of sporting fanatics. He shortened up. He's now into 15 to 1. That's 15 to 1. From around 25 for the Masters. And if you're thinking he's in fantastic form, he's had 2 good performances around Augusta both times he's been. I think T18 and T19 or around those kind of numbers. And it's a golf course to take some getting used to. And he's obviously a better player now. So he's still only kind of 4th or 5th in the market. So there could be a little bit of juice in that price. And it's also worth noting that Tiger Woods has still entered. And there have been some video surfing have been playing around the area on other courses and actually walking the course. So there is signs that he could be turning up, and he's in there at 80 to 1. One that I did want to put up, and we are this price as well, but one that I wanted to put up as a bit of an early selection for the Masters would be Billy Horschel, and I don't think the market's fully cottoned onto him yet. He's 13th in the world currently in terms of the rankings. He's performing fantastically. He was the one that took Scottie Scheffler the closest to him being beat last week. He got beat 1 up by Scottie Scheffler. He's been playing fantastically well, and he's in there at 100 to 1. I mean, how can Justin Rose be 45, 50 to 1, and then Billy Horschel's in there at 100? So I'll probably send the gold trader a nice message after this, and I'll probably get one back saying no thanks. But Billy Horschel at 100 to 1 for the Masters, I don't think it's the worst play in the world.
You heard it here first, 100 to 1 resumption of the Formula One in Saudi Arabia. Dramatic finish as well. Verstappen getting the better of Leclerc. It seemed like, talking to Guy this morning, it was a good start to set up a kind of an interesting campaign with all this renewed interest from Drive to Survive and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a very different season to what last season looked like, purely because Hamilton's just not really in the running, is he, at all? With his kind of shambles of a car at the moment, you would imagine the Mercedes will probably get it back on track at some point. But
what's happened to his car?
Loads of new regulations have come in this year, so loads of new regs have come in to try and allow the cars to follow each other a lot more. Because in the past, when the cars were following each other, if you had a car behind, your tyres from all the drag coming over the car in front, it basically just ruined your tyres, and therefore you would end up dropping back. So they're trying to make the cars follow each other a lot more. But because Mercedes and Red Bull had a massive battle last year, the thought is that they haven't put much as much effort and time and money into this year's car as what the other teams have, whereas Ferrari have kind of dropped off the last couple of years, but that's because they've been focusing on these new regs that have been coming in, hence why their car's now fantastic. Red Bull have fantastic, obviously got it right, and they were in the heat of that battle last year as well, albeit Mercedes definitely had the quicker car towards the end of the season compared to Red Bull. But it looks like it's going to be a Red Bull and Ferrari show as Leclerc and Verstappen were showing. Verstappen was actually a decent enough result. We laid a good bit of Leclerc before the race, so we were pretty happy to go and see Verstappen get the job done. We do have an offer on the F1 which copped yesterday. So Leclerc backers got 50% of their stake back as a free bet due to our 5-second chance offer, which is triggered if your driver finishes second by under 5 seconds. And I think we could see that because these cars are so closely matched at the moment. I think we could see that this offer copping a fair bit, and especially because the new regulations are allowing cars to follow each other a lot more. There's every chance that there's a decent angle there for the punters. So it's going to be an exciting season. Let's see how they shape up in the outright part now. Just moving forward. So we've got the constructors here. So Ferrari 10 to 11 for the constructors, Red Bull 5 to 4, and then your 6 to 1 bar, that's Mercedes. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, you're 10 to 11 Max Verstappen, 7 to 4 Charles Leclerc, and 9 to 1 Hamilton. I think you'd have to be a little bit worried if you're backing the Ferraris, purely because I'm just not sure how much they're going to find. Just because they've spent so much time on their car and their money already, they're the kind of more exposed runners in terms of technology. Whereas Red Bull and Mercedes would have had less time and less man hours to spend on these cars. You think that they will find that improvement at some point. So I would imagine even a Mercedes driver wouldn't be the worst player in the world. They're fourth and fifth in the drivers' table at the moment. Hamilton's in there at 9-1, and George Russell's in there at 22. I don't think one of them would be the worst player in the world to kind of upturn the two at the front of the market. But that's how we're sitting in terms of the F1, and it's good to sit back.
Yeah, some very nice horse racing terminology there. How much will Ferrari find? I like that. How much will your dog find in the Star Sports Greyhound Derby, which starts May 19th? And we obviously have betting for the greatest show on earth.
We do indeed. So we obviously sponsor the Greyhound Derby again. We shall be at Toaster for every round, and then we'll have a few pitches there for the final as well. Unfortunately, yours truly won't be there for the final this year. Purely,
you're only going to the Curragh, aren't you?
I am. I'm coming over to your side of the pond because it's the Irish Derby on the same day that it's the Greyhound Derby. So it could be the great double. You could pick the winner of the Irish Derby with us on course at the Curragh, and then you could fly back over to Toaster for the evening and catch the Greyhound Derby.
Well, the Champion Stakes Irish Derby Greyhound double is like one of the greatest nights out one of the greatest days out in sport, basically. And sometimes there can be some really like All Ireland on back in the day on the same day. It can be just epic stuff, and obviously you can wake up the next morning you're thinking, well, how much money did I? Anyway, but it's great crack, and you'll be over in the Curragh.
I shall be indeed. But just get back to the dog derby. We have a new favourite in the shape of Curragh Shadow. Is into 16-1 from 50. We saw a decent bit of money for this dog last night. Speaking to the dog maltsters this morning, that he ran a very good trial. I think it was a sprint trial yesterday, and looks like the type for the derby. So that's why that's been backed into favourite. Susie Sapphire 20-1, Explosive Boy 25, Jack's Little Thing 20, Jack's Little Thing 25, Fawn Falcon 25, and then your 28 bar. We've also priced up where the winner will be trained. So Irish winner is 1-2, and then UK train winner is 6-4. So that is the dog derby. We've actually got a dog which we own in the office called Bandit Millie that is running on Wednesday at Hove. She's running over a sprint trip, so do check that out. I think she's got a decent little chance running over the sprint trip. So do follow the Bandit Millie and give her a cheer for the lads in the office.
Just looking ahead of the Tour Championship in snooker also.
Yeah, so loads of sports coming at you this week rather than just focusing on one. I've been speaking to the snooker traders this morning, or the sports traders. We've got the Tour Championship priced up on site. I've been told it's the 8 best players in the world that are competing. Judd Trump's in there at 5-2, Neil Robertson 3-1, Ronnie O'Sullivan 7-2, John Higgins 6-1, and then your 11-1 bar. We've got some round one specials as well in there. So John Higgins, Robertson, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and Judd Trump all to win. Was 3-1, now 7-2. And then we've got another 3 specials up there on site, as well as the individual matches as well. We do have an offer on the snooker. I can't actually see it in front of me, but I believe it is if you're here we go. So get your money back. It's a free bet up to £50 if you'll pay it. It's beaten in a deciding frame. So if you did want to get involved in a snooker, then you can get half your money back if you're beaten in the final frame. All of your money if you're beaten in the final frame. So even better.
Beautiful. And it's in just on the racing front. Obviously, we're winding down on the jumps front. I think we're going to see Shishkin before the season is out, and obviously Punchestown. But before all that, Scottish Champion Hurdle and Scottish National, very, very open up the Scottish National on Saturday.
So betting's obviously down at the moment because we'll be receiving decks at some point. But one horse that we saw money for yesterday at 20-1 was the Ferry Master. Was backed into 12-1 when I checked this morning. So that could be one when decks come back out that you might want to have a little bit of an interest in. But that's the one that they've been wanting to be on and to post. I would imagine it will be running all over the place, which is our standard offer, which is if your horse completes the course but finishes out of the places, you'll get the each way part of your bet back as a free bet. So that's one to get involved in for the Scottish National. We've obviously got the Grand National priced up. It's been announced this morning that Highland Hunter won't be going due to an injury, which means that Disha Arbor will be taking his place. Just in terms of a market for the National, we've got Any Second Now in there at 9-1 favourite, Delta Work 10-1, Scaria 10-1, tipped up by Hugh Taylor in the week. Enjoyed the Len is 12-1. Is that the horse that's been bought by JP?
Sorry, which horse is it?
Enjoyed the Len?
Indeed.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so that's 12-1 for JP, and then your 14-1 bar. And 14-1 is Snow Left Death. I'm sure Snow Left Death will have plenty of backers come to the Grand National. Any early thoughts on the National, Johnny?
I know it'd be interesting to see if Willie's going to target it to try to win the Trainers' Championship. It's a tough one. I've been asked to try to get an interview with Mark Walsh ahead of it just in the last 20 minutes. That's why I was slightly distracted there. I presume the any second now bandwagon will be heating up. He's a fairly obvious chance. It's not a race I like betting on at all, I have to say. I've an awful record in it. I remember back in Hedge Hunter the year before he won the race, fell at the last. And I'm actually not sure I've ever backed the winner of the National, being honest with
you. Weirdly, without trying to get the trumpet out, because I have plenty of races that I do my money on, but the National's been very kind to me, weirdly. I actually really like trying to find a horse for the National. I've actually done okay in it, to be fair, but one that I liked a bit of price was Death Duty. He just had that similar mold to Tiger, in the fact he doesn't get majorly high at his fences, and I quite like that for a national horse. I don't think it's a race for proper chasers anymore. I think it's a race for horses that kind of hurdle them and are smart on their feet. And I think that Death Duty, I know he's a bit old, but I thought that Death Duty at around 33-1, I thought the test could really suit him. I thought a horse like Delta Work, it could just be difficult for him. He's a proper chaser. And I think that he would only have a chance if the ground came up really soft. I wouldn't like him at all, kind of a big strapping horse on better ground. So a really interesting one as we get to the National, flooded full of Irish runners as I'm just looking at the betting here. We've also got the Topham up on the website, which Mr. Coffee, who's a bit of a yoke, is favourite for at 9-1. Senior Citizens also in there at 9. And we've got the Fox Hunters priced up, where you've got joint favourites in Jet, who I think he was running a fantastic race in the National up to a certain point last year under Sam Wade.
He made much of the running, yeah.
Yeah, he's in there 130, and then Wing Leader's in there 130. I mean, if this race doesn't come too quick for him, it'd be a good thing for me. Wing Leader, just the way he jumped and he got his throat cut by another horse the last day. So Bob and Co's in there as well for David Maxwell at 9-2, and then Late Night Pass in there at 6-1. So we've got all the Aintree features priced up. It'll be interesting to see what decorations we get for the graded races we get to next week. But don't forget that we'll be standing on the pitch in Liverpool as well next week. So do come and see us if you are there.
Yeah, only Saturday week now to the National. So the show goes on, and a fascinating Scottish National as well. And racing resumed in Ireland with some really bright action this weekend at the Curragh. And Nace, that was Trader Chat. We didn't expect to be starting it talking about Will Smith. Did he mean it? Did he not? Was it choreographed? Was it not? 25-1 shot to present the Oscars next year. Are you getting on? That was Johnny Ward and Flynn Goward. We shall talk to you next week.